Nah, that's too hyperbolic. Good afternoon, and welcome to an episode of Clark Talks About Things and Stuff, where I talk about things and stuff. Happy 700 subscribers to me, everybody, and that's more than 700. Okay, to be completely honest with you, things have been kind of crazy over here as of late, because I've just been receiving an insane amount of growth. Well, it's been a couple weeks since I last hit 700, and in the time, I hit 800 subscribers. But you're not here for me to talk about my own self-inflated ego, despite the fact that I don't really have one. You're here for me to do an actual subscriber special. Now, I have been kind of going back and forth onto what I actually really want to do with this. Let's just put it this way. Talking about the Loud House is kind of what got me to this level of stardom as of late. So I thought, why the hell not? Let's talk about the Loud House. The first season of the Loud House, because if I had to talk about all 6 goddamn seasons in one video, I think I would have gone insane. More so than I already am. So yeah, basically I wanted to talk about every single episode in the first season of the Loud House. Here's where we have our first problem. Okay, so the first episode of The Loud House has 26 episodes. 26 episodes that are actually divided into 2 11-minute segments. So immediately we've already jumped up to 52 episodes. Not only have we already jumped to 52 episodes, when we multiply that by 11, we get 572 minutes. 572 divided by 60 is 9.5 hours of Loud House content. And I'm planning on tackling every single episode in this series. Either way than that, of course, I need to thank you. Thank you all for 7, 8, probably at this point 900 subscribers. This is the Loud House series. Season 1, Episode 1, Left in the Dark, is kind of a weird opener, but it kind of works in its favor because it's all about Lincoln trying to watch his favorite TV show. Arg. It's not pirate-themed. It's annoying. After that, he then directly addresses the camera for some reason. I don't understand why he does this, because I mean, in his room, it would just be like a wall he's talking to. Like, is he that much of a schizophrenic? Anyways, why doesn't he catch the latest episode of Arg fucking tomorrow on Paramount Plus? I had to buy an entire Paramount subscription in order to watch his show. Why couldn't he do that? Problem solved, obviously. But yeah, not only did we get introduced to the sisters in this episode, we also get introduced to an interesting character, that being Clyde. Now, Clyde is Lincoln's best friend, and Clyde also has a crush on Lincoln's sister, who's like 18 years old. Why are you still friends with him, Lincoln? If he's acting this creepy about your older sisters, why do you keep him around? That's the question of the century, but he's here to stay. Anyways, Lincoln basically manipulates everyone into staying in their rooms and all that kind of stuff, except for Lucy. I know very little about this show, but definitely Lucy, especially in this and the next episode, she's becoming my favorite character. Also, one of the sisters is actually voiced by the same voice actress who voiced Panini, and as someone who loves Chowder, I cannot etch that voice out of my brain. I cannot not think of Panini every single time I hear her voice, okay? And the fact that Panini, I feel like, is a more well-written character than the one here, yeah.
As your president, I officially declare child marriage legal. You may kiss the bride.
In a way, I do understand that that's kind of the point, that she's not necessarily the smartest tool in the shed, but, like, still. Anyways, Lucy wants to watch her stupid TV show on an old black and white TV because it's black and white and old, and she's like what the vampires used to watch. But unfortunately, it takes out all the power in the house. It took about like 5 minutes to get here, so that's cool. The title of the episode is called Left in the Dark. You do realize that, right? The smart one bakes like some kind of cookie that makes someone glow in the dark through bioluminescence, and it's just like, bro, this is a complete and total asshole. Like, where the fuck did this come from? Yeah, earlier in the episode when Lincoln was distracting his sisters, she was asking for a bunch of ingredients, but like, Come on, man. That's just an asshole. Honestly, I don't think I have really much more to say outside of just, they go into the basement, turn on the breaker, Lincoln misses his episode, but don't worry, guys, Lincoln made his own episode of ARG to watch, and even though that he said that he would be relentlessly bullied at school for not watching this show, but, like, whatever, I guess, I don't know. Who cares? In short, Left in the Dark is kind of an alright episode. It really just, I don't know. If I had to rate it, probably like a 6 out of 10 or something like that. I'm not going to be rating all these episodes. I'm just saying that because it's an alright episode, I guess. And while we did have a meteoric start, let me just put it this way. Get the message. You know what? I think I understand where the fans are coming from with this. I think I'm starting to understand the Loud House fandom more because this episode is something that the fandom would write. You know that it's going to be a great goddamn episode when in the first frames of this goddamn episode we have Lincoln twerking to kill zombies. He's wearing a fucking Oculus Rift, somehow with no controllers he needs to carry, and the game that he's playing looks like it's something on the fucking Intellivision. Also, Lincoln goes for a piss, and he takes off the headset, and he's all like, zombies don't need to see this. What the actual fuck, man? Anyways, Glori then accidentally breaks the console while she goes into the bathroom after she was distracted by her phone. And Lincoln is not happy by this. No, not one bit whatsoever. Clyde is also here for practically no reason outside of making some really creepy comments about Glori's feet because they smashed the video game console. Not to assume anything about the fandom, but where the fuck was he during all of my cringe fests? Where the hell was he? Because he'd be the perfect candidate for some Glori shit. Ugh. Anyways, even though this is the second episode of the goddamn franchise, Lincoln has a list about what he hates about all of his sisters. We don't get to hear any of this, it's weird though, right? To make an entire list about entire things you hate. And it's just a general shit list as well. So he puts Glori on it and leaves a voicemail on her phone that gets censored by the rocker girl. I don't remember her name. I don't care. Glori then comes in Lincoln's room carrying a new version of the video game console that she broke. And let me just get this straight. So she went to the bathroom, accidentally destroyed the console, immediately took the car and left, and then came back after God knows how many fucking hours, and then just gives Lincoln the new console because she broke it. It's like, what is this event? And oh no, it's so inconvenient because Lincoln already recorded the hateful message to Glori's phone. Now they gotta go delete it. That's the premise of the episode. A good chunk of this episode is a dream sequence. I'm saying this because I'm not gonna say anything about it. However, one question I've always had involving Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl has finally been answered. Where the fuck did Lincoln get that beanie? In fact, it was from the second episode of the series. Weird costume, but not the place. Point blank, wouldn't Lincoln already know the code to Glori's room if he's been living here in the house? Or does she change it on the regular? Lucy's in this episode, but not really for a whole lot or really much of a purpose. She's just in the air ducts for no reason. In this episode, we also get to know that Glori throws her shoes underneath her bed, and then when she goes and checks for Lincoln, she then realizes, oh wait, these are where all my shoes went. What kind of character writing is this? Anyways, I guess I should probably mention the fact that Clyde has a huge nosebleed. It's actually kind of a weird amount of blood. Seriously, you don't see any blood in something like Avatar: The Last Airbender. You see absolutely zero blood. Yet for some reason in this show, it fucking gushes out of this guy's nose. Wow. Talk about a double standard. Anyways, you want to know how this episode is concluded? Glori just deletes the message. Yeah, she realizes that Lincoln was sending her a message, but before it actually gets to the bad stuff, she deletes the message anyway. So this whole premise is really freaking stupid. Okay, so remember that shit list that Lincoln wrote? Well, I didn't mention it before, but all of his pockets got emptied when he accidentally fell out of the air ducts and came into the bathroom. This is important because apparently he had the shit list on him, Glori found it, and then the episode ends. Legitimately, what even was this? But hey, you know what? At least now I finally have an excuse to show this image in another video. Because honestly, judging by this episode alone, this image right here is actually very accurate. In short, this has been kind of a weird opener because we've had an episode that really wasn't all that bad, and then we have another episode that is like absolutely freaking awful. Which is just amazing now, ain't it? But really, though, I don't really know what to think of the Loud House. Obviously, a decent amount of my mind is going towards the fandom, as that's most of what I know. But I mean, when you really get down to it, I'm not too sure. I'm just not too sure about the show itself, to be honest with you. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't watch this in my off time if I wasn't making a video on it. That much is for sure. You know I'm only like 3 or so episodes into this series, but I really do gotta apologize if I'm coming off as too negative. Not because I got any comments about it, I don't know. I just feel like I have like a higher expectation for this as something that's rivaling SpongeBob. I'm saying all this because Heavy Meddle is a very milquetoast and kind of boring episode. Which is interesting, considering the fact that in the first, like, 5 goddamn seconds of this episode, Lincoln gets pants that we see a child's underpants. Meanwhile, if this was the opposite sex, this would probably get you a restraining order, but, you know, Nickelodeon showrunners, who cares, I guess. Now, anyways, the plot of Heavy Meddle basically has Lincoln getting bullied and trying to hide it from his sisters. Why? Because they're incredibly overprotective. Which, honestly, comparing the last 2 episodes to this premise right here, is completely ass backwards because we definitely have not seen either a caring side from most of these sisters. The only character that comes close is Glori because she destroyed his video game console in the last episode. But again, that's kind of an exception, not necessarily the rule. I understand this is episode 3 and all that, so you can mold the characters however which way you can. There still is time to do that, but I mean, just the episode with Arg alone, just like, I don't know about that. But then again, I guess considering the fandom, yeah. There's like this really weird joke they implement involving Lincoln talking to the camera again. Like, he didn't even do that in the last episode, but now he's doing it, including a weather update involving a, quote, sister NATO. Like, it's ridiculous. And then the sister NATO happens in reality. Now, I understand this is a cartoon and all that. I really do know that. Okay, I'm not trying to be Mr. Everything needs to be super realistic in a cartoon, grr. But this series is supposed to be more grounded before something like the Loud House movie where they introduce magic and dragons and ghosts and shit. But is this actually happening in reality? We haven't seen Lincoln, like, have this kind of hallucinations, like, ever. So, like, is this actually happening in reality, or is this actually his imagination? Because I could honestly believe either or. After the girls find out that Lincoln's bully is not a guy, they then decide to go completely 180 and say, you know what, guys? If your bully hates you and beats you up and pantses you and records it for the internet to see, that means they like you. I'm not even joking when I say this. I think the only time this kind of fucking plot has ever worked ever is in goddamn Deltarune, okay? Susie alone is the only one, the only way, the only how this kind of plot would even work, period. And again, I'm sorry for bringing this up, but it kind of makes sense onto why everyone tries to ship Lynn and Lincoln together. Because if this is the message that you're portraying here, then why would not? Lynn beats up Lincoln all the damn time, so that means she really likes him or something like that. So, like, what is this? What is this plot? After Ronnie Ann beats Lincoln's ass, he basically sulks to his room with, like, 3 seconds left in the episode. Like, seriously, it's, like, very late into the episode, like 20 seconds or so. The best part about all this is that we don't actually see Ronnie Ann, like, at all in this episode, which is very interesting. Considering the fact this is her first appearance, she doesn't say anything, yet she's the character that's going to have a spin-off series later on down the line. It's interesting. Thankfully, making the case is a little bit better of an episode. I'd even say it's another 6 out of 10, just like the first episode, where I actually had a little bit of fun watching it. So the premise is that Lincoln is a complete and total loser and doesn't actually have a trophy to showcase anyone. So basically, SpongeBob then decides to give one of his trophies to him and sorry, you know, just talking about another plot of another cartoon, you know, whatever, who cares? No, in all seriousness, this is one of those plots, especially nowadays, where they're all like, I gotta get more social media influence than the other person that's getting more social media influence than my videos that should be getting more social media influence. All of this for a trophy, by the way. And hey, you know what? I guess I'm doing something wrong involving my YouTube career, considering the fact that Loran, even though despite making completely and totally unfunny jokes, especially in the first episode, has over 500,000 viewers. So, again, I must be doing something wrong here, am I? According to her, in order to get, quote, comedy gold, you need to always have your camera running. That sounds like an interesting thought. Yeah, definitely. Definitely not a Chinese psyop. What are you talking about? Anyways, this is also where Lincoln makes a clip compilation. You know, my forte. That's my forte, Lincoln. Stay the fuck away. Granted, it's a clip compilation of his sisters doing random shit, including Glori fart fetish, and Clyde comments on it. Hooray! Ugh. Anywho, obviously the sisters don't approve of this because that Lincoln didn't ask for consent to actually upload the video, which is a pretty important thing and is actually a felony. So yeah, basically all of his sisters now hate him. But don't worry, because Loran actually has a plan. That, of course, being uploading embarrassing moments of yourself. One thing I've kind of noticed about this series is that Lincoln is kind of the character that if he does something to the sisters, then they're going to get pissed at him and they're not going to enjoy it. But if the inverse is the case, then that means it's okay. So that means Loran actually has a whole, like, closet full of VHS tapes about Lincoln's embarrassing moments. Even though that Lincoln uploaded one video, she has an entire closet full of VHS tapes. Like, come on. The best part is that I don't think any of the clips actually used in that segment are actually from those DVDs, because they look like more so they just kind of filmed semi-embarrassing stuff, but it's kind of like scripted almost. The main reason onto why I think this is because Lucy was like making out with this vampire guy, but Lincoln decides to paste a picture over the vampire bust, so like I think it was mostly staged. This episode also kind of ends like the first one, where it's just all like, well, we didn't win the actual prize, but guess what, Lincoln? You're such a cool brother, we decided to give you a trophy so you could put it in the trophy case all on your own. It's just like, what a just deflated ending. It's just like, okay, we have a goal right here. He doesn't reach it, but then his sisters are just all like, but don't worry, we're just gonna give you the end to your episode. It's just like, what even? One thing I 100% though do not understand is that Lincoln in this episode is pining over this girl. I've not mentioned her so far because I don't remember her name at all. But it is actually one of the only funny part of the episodes. Where basically she had to move to a different class to avoid Lincoln because of his creepy kissing. Yet, incidentally, Ronnie Ann is never mentioned, even though the last episode ended with her being okay with Lincoln and wanting to be into a relationship with them. This is kind of also why I think it's not really the third episode, like production-wise. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right, is all I'm saying. In short, I kind of liked this a little bit more than the first episode, kind of. The fourth episode is a fine episode in and of itself. The third episode is kind of milquetoast and boring, but the fourth one definitely is pretty good. The thing is definitely that I definitely do understand, again, just it's just annoying. The Loud House fandom, it's just in the back of my head all the damn time when watching this show and being all like, that makes sense onto why the fandom would interpret this way. And it's just like, that's not what I'm doing this video series for. I'm just doing it so I can watch the fucking series. That's all I'm doing. It's not like some kind of dig at the fandom. So again, no harm, no foul is what I'm trying to say here. I'm not trying to dig at you at all. And also, if I get anything factually incorrect, I don't care. So yeah. Okay, Paramount Plus sucks. According to the Loud House wiki, which yes, I have been referring to mainly for just, completion's sake, The next episode I'm supposed to watch is Driving Miss Hazy, but on Paramount Plus, for whatever reason, the 23rd episode, Along Came a Sister, is next. Now, it doesn't make any goddamn sense whatsoever how they got it this fucked up in their own head, especially considering the fact that the first 4 episodes are in the correct order. I don't know how the fuck this happened, but I'm just going to go off by what I see on Paramount Plus, okay? I'm sorry if I'm not going to go exactly in production order. But this does mean that, again, canonically, that was Luann's first mentioning in the 3rd episode, and then just completely forgotten by the 4th. So yeah, basically, what I'm trying to say here is, that's why we're watching Along Came a Sister first. So basically, the episode starts with the kids pestering a spider, and Lincoln gets selected to take care of it for the weekend, because otherwise we wouldn't have an actual Loud House episode. The teacher makes a joke here about being let out of her cage on the weekends, and I actually kind of liked it. It's kind of funny. Anyways, according to this episode, Lenny actually has arachnophobia, and apparently Loran thought it would be a fun idea to just exploit that fear. Wow, what an amazing person. But yeah, unsurprisingly, Lincoln sucks at keeping the spider a secret, and Lenny almost sees it and all that kind of stuff. He then, after being explicitly told to not let the spider out, then lets the spider out because he's a fucking idiot, and we wouldn't have a conflict otherwise if the spider wasn't out of its cage, I guess. After a bunch of unfunny jokes involving the spider not being in places and Lincoln accidentally looking at Glori in the bathroom, because of course, the spider is now on the back of Glori, and wow, this plot is so amazing and not contrived at all. Apparently also, Lenny is woke, considering the fact that she's tolerant of everyone. How could this show? That's it, 0 out of 10. The entire series is a fucking travesty. Anyways, obviously the name of the episode is a reference to Little Miss Muffet. Glori then he makes a smoothie with curds and way too much spinach because, my god, this episode's so funny. Anyways, predictably, Lenny kills the spider in reality and is definitely dead for the rest of the episode. And no, obviously it was not actually the spider. It's still alive, but apparently Mr. Loud also has arachnophobia. Cool. The dad then calls an exterminator, which definitely does not remind me of Aunt Bully in the slightest. I don't know what you're talking about. Definitely not, no. I wish they also committed to keeping Lynn frozen for the entire episode as opposed to just unfreezing her near the end of the episode. It just, I don't know. Especially when she doesn't really help in trying to stop the exterminator from killing the spider. But, like, you know, whatever. There's also another Glori moment involving the exterminator accidentally looking under the door. It's like, bro, you really had to reuse that for a joke, really? Anyways, of course, Glori decides to save the spider and try and help Lincoln because if he didn't, then people at school would pull their AK-47s on him, obviously. Like, I understand that it is kind of in the nature of the Loud House to kind of make these somewhat predictable plots work and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. You can kind of just see every beat with every episode, especially with this one right here. And it's just like, Glori is afraid of spiders, so that Lincoln accidentally brings a spider over, and then basically she gets over her fear and saves the spider in the end. It's like, yada, 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 who cares? Also, now the exterminator is just giving up exterminating because this, like, 17-year-old's all like, don't kill spiders! Even though that it is genuinely not a good idea to have spiders in your house, typically. The hilarious, funny gag for the end of this episode is that Frank's a girl and then gives birth to like 1,000,000 fucking spiders and in the air ducts. It's like, okay. Good luck trying to get the exterminator back for a second round. Either way, the next episode is Chore and Peace. Shock of all shockers, this episode is about chores and how Lincoln has to take out the garbage, and yet he gets annoyed because the sisters don't do as much chore as he does, I guess. In this episode, they also make mention of the fact that Lincoln has white hair. It's always a good question mark, considering the fact that we have brown hair, we have mostly blonde characters, Lucy has black hair, Lincoln has white hair, and Lenny has a lighter shade than most of the other sisters. I don't think this is how genes work, is all I'm trying to say. Lincoln whines and moans about his job, yet fucking Lisa is doing the goddamn bills. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. Plus, if you were going to talk about Glori, she technically has 2 jobs, babysitting the baby, whatever the fuck their name was, I forgot, along with doing the laundry. Like, that, I don't know. As this is the first episode where the parents are actively doing shit, it's actually kind of amazing the fact that they were just all like, should we intervene and like try and solve this plot just that little bit faster? Nah, I want to see where this goes. Especially with how he rhymes 16. Like, Really? Also, they use jigsaw puzzles to have an excuse to bone. But yeah, no, otherwise, these parents are stupid. They literally let the kids junk up the house because they won't trade chores with Lincoln. Like, bro, come on. Oh, and this gets even worse when the other sisters decide to stop doing their chores as well. Like, bro, you should have done something at the moment go. God. Also, remember when I was talking about episode 4 and asking if the sister NATO was real? Well, I still haven't gotten a response to that as of recording this video. But Lisa literally just created a trash monster out of garbage. And you're telling me that people are surprised when magic and dragons exist. I don't know, man. Actually, how much fucking garbage does this household make, considering the fact that the trash keeps getting more and more ridiculous? Anyways, blah, 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 they end their strikes because Lily is about to suffocate in garbage. But actually, the parents did finally intervene! Wow, good fucking job! Wow, you just did such a good job, Loud House! Wow, what an amazing ending! As always. Like, seriously. Also, apparently the garbage workers are now striking for more money. Because we need to end on that irony. Why not? In short, while being out of order, these episodes, I don't know. I think they're a little better than the last ones I covered. It does feel like quality is kind of improving, but again, this is kind of out of order, so I can't wait to go back to the first couple episodes and see how rough the show has gotten. Again, not like a substantial improvement, but honestly, it's definitely not filled with enough garbage like the first couple episodes, so yay. Lincoln did the trash, hurrah. Okay, I know I already talked about this near the beginning of this series, that we've been having an insane amount of growth on this channel. I want to emphasize that because last episode, I got to 900 subscribers, 903 when I realized, before I uploaded the video. It is now 986 subscribers as of recording this part of the video. Hey, Clark from the future here. Sorry to interrupt, but after I was done recording and I started editing this video and all that, I hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you all for this. Thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I now have 3 subscriber specials I need to make, but this one right here, this 1,000 subscriber special, I am definitely excited to see where this goes. All right, sorry, back to the Loud House. So basically, I'm only less than 20 away from 1,000 now, which thank you immensely. I mean, like, seriously, this is actually a ridiculous amount of growth. It's been like less than like a month and I'm almost reached basically my goal for this channel. That's, of course, not to say that I'll be quitting after 1,000, but it is actually very interesting to see that in such a short amount of time, through videos that are like months, even over a year old, that I'm still gaining a lot of subscribers over. Also, getting more back on topic with the Loud House, I actually figured out why episode 3 was using the 23rd episode of the series. So as it turns out, episodes 1 through 4 came out on May 2nd and May 3rd. But Along Came a Sister, even though being the 23rd episode, came out on May 4th. The episodes we're going to be talking about today are the 9th and 10th episodes of the series, yet they were released on May 5th. So cool, yeah, thanks. That's totally appreciated. Why not just release it all in order? I don't know. Just don't fucking ask me. They decide to just screw up the ordering, and now they've completely screwed that up. Which basically raises the question, is the actual official, like, ranking of these episodes actually legitimate? How do we actually know that that was legitimately the 23rd episode outside of, like, production codes? Like, I don't know. But anyways, getting back on track, we're going to be talking about Project Loud House now. This episode starts off weird because, like, the title card, like, has some fucking Peanuts-inspired ass music just to start off, because why not? And it permeates throughout the rest of the episode because even though this is the 7th episode that I reviewed at this point, for some reason, this feels like a way better introduction to the series than Arc ever was. Like, what the heck? This episode feels more like an introduction to the whole series rather than being the 7th episode of the whole series. Like, what even is this? And I've kind of skipped already about 3 minutes or so, because it's mostly setting up most of the characters, like, you know, quirks and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, Why exactly is this the 7th episode? If you were going to release these episodes in order, at least make this one first. Also, thanks to me kind of scouring the Loud House wiki, I do know that the series did start off as shorts, and I think this was one of them, if I recall correctly, but probably not. All I do know is that this is definitely a very weird episode to start out with, especially because, in fact, it's considered episode number 9, like, typically. So, like, what is even... Oh, well, at least Lynn falls down the stairs and fucking dies. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to be completely real with you here. I'm struggling to find anything actually interesting to talk about, considering the fact this is supposed to be the 7th episode I've reviewed so far. If this was the first episode, I'd probably have more to say. But other than that, this episode, there's not much to it. Then again, one of the characters just became Smurfette, so like, I don't know. Alright, so back in the trash episode, there was this rocker guy with the rocker girl, and basically, in this episode, they just fucking introduced him. The last episode had him in there for no reason, yet this episode decided to actually introduce him. Granted, that was like episode 23 or whatever, and that's supposed to be episode 9 for this one, but like, this episode is so, this is the first episode coded, that it's just like, bro... The next episode you introduce this character that was in the previous episode because of the air date thing. Like, I don't know. This whole idea is just stupid. This whole fucking way this works is stupid. Oh no, Lincoln's projects get destroyed near the end of the episode, but then the sisters immediately just jump out of the car and be all like, "We'll help you, little bro." It's like, what? It's like, this is, I know we have like, there's like, seriously, there's like 30 seconds left in the episode and all that, but like, wow, is this going fast now. The sisters basically are inside of Lincoln's class now and just kind of breaking the physics of reality, but like, whatever, I guess. A gets an A-. This episode kind of sucked. Again, if this was more so the first episode and not the 9th or the 7th that I reviewed, then maybe it would be actually okay. And I would actually probably say that this Loud House is starting on high hopes. Otherwise, I think this episode is kind of boring after the last 6 episodes. That's a very big important factor into me liking this episode. It's been a while to establish these characters and all that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah. Regardless, let's now move on to intense debate. It's about the 2016 election. Well, I mean, it came out around 2016, so you know this is going to be fun. No, in all seriousness, though, we do have the Loud Sisters and Lincoln and all that actually trying to govern the house without the parents being involved. I don't get why they do this, to be honest with you. One of the twin sisters say that they love pooping in the woods. I need to mention this every single time because of the Loud House fandom. Also, in order to enact new things into law or whatever, Lori decides to remove her shoes along with her feet. Again, I need to mention this every single goddamn time because of the Loud House fandom. But yeah, anyways, back to the actual episode analysis. Lincoln basically decides, hey, how about we ask our parents if we could go to not the shitty camp place, and how about we go to Dairyland, or the most boring name for a beach ever. 5 of his sisters will like the beach. The other 5 want to go to Dairyland. Lincoln is a deciding vote. This episode, you could just kind of see where it goes from here. This includes trying to butter Lincoln up. This is probably the nicest I've seen the Loud Sisters in a while. But of course, this just means that Lincoln is now a supremo jerk trying to get his sister's attention because of his undecided vote. But yeah, apparently the Loud Sisters are all doing this under the course of one day, which is interesting. At the end of the day, the sisters come up and are about to beat the absolute piss out of him. But, you know, since he's still undecided, that basically means that he gets to enjoy the luxuries for one more day. Even though that basically all the Loud Sisters were about to beat his ass because he couldn't decide, versus half of them beating him up because they didn't want to do it, which most likely probably wouldn't happen, but then again, I don't live in the Loud House, now do I? I also love it when Lincoln decides to monologue out loud to himself in his room, basically being all like, man, I really am enjoying this advantage of being liked by my sisters. Man, I hope they're not listening in on me while I say, why don't I try and just abuse their kindness just that little bit more? Man, I wonder if I'm actually gonna not get murdered in my sleep. But of course, the sisters won't take this lying down, so they basically just try and make the competition worse. That's basically what it's doing. Hooray for mudslinging! My favorite part about this episode is that it takes the entire episode for Lincoln to realize maybe my sisters don't like it when I abuse them. What a novel concept. Though to be fair, this ending actually does kind of redeem Lincoln because he basically brings him to the shitty camp that everyone hates, but he works his hardest in order to try and make the enjoyable experience for his sisters. You know what? Fine, whatever. That's a good enough ending for me, to be honest. In short, today's episodes weren't abhorrent or anything. Definitely the first episode was very weird for, again, the 9th episode overall, and just the 7th that I've reviewed so far. Just like, I don't understand that in the slightest. The other episode actually wasn't all too bad, so that's good, I guess. Overall, I don't know, I guess it was pretty interesting, so yeah. You know what? I've actually been lying to you this whole time, saying I know absolutely nothing about the Loud House and all that. Please. Kinda. The only reason onto why I really know anything about the Loud House is thanks to the Onceler over here and his videos based on it. Now, obviously, I'm trying to form my own opinion and not necessarily going to be copying or parrying what he says, but, you know, him and Mr. Enter doing animation atrocities and all that kind of stuff on the Loud House are kind of the only ways I actually know anything about the show. I'm not saying that because they talked about these episodes in specific. It's just I just thought I needed something to say for this rambling section at the beginning of the video, because why the hell not? But yeah, let's just continue actually getting on with the Loud House episode review. In this episode, the sweet spot, Lincoln gets raptured. Well, at least it looks like it from this title card. In this episode, Lincoln is preparing for a road trip, and he's all like, everyone likes road trips, right? No, I hate road trips. I hate being stuck in a car or an airplane or whatever. It's just like, okay, I've ran out of things to do. Now what am I going to do? It's just, regardless of how I feel, I don't know. I feel like some of these episodes just don't really have a whole lot of content to really say about. This one too, honestly, especially considering the fact that we have Clyde here for some reason. But yeah, basically it's just Lincoln trying to find the sweet spot, and then he's all like, oh man, what system am I going to get next to me? It's just like, this is definitely the most, though, that Lincoln has talked to the camera, though, so that's something. Also, who's gonna sit behind me? It's just like, God, get to the fucking road trip part of the episode already. I'm tired of this.
When are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
I understand that's kind of the whole thing with the episode, that he's trying to plan out exactly how to have the best optimized car ride, but like, still, man, just get to the road trip part. It's just like, this entire episode just feels like setup for the road trip, yet it feels like it's going on forever. Like, who's gonna sit behind you? Thanks, Clyde, you ruined the episode. I really appreciate it. Anyways, the sisters find out what he did, and they beat him up. Legitimately beat him up. Until there was too much noise being made, and then they all had to go back to their rooms until 7 a.m. And then, well, let me put it this way. 7 a.m. getting up in the morning, gotta get down, go downstairs, gotta have my bowl, gotta have cereal, gotta get in the sweet spot, otherwise my sisters are gonna fucking destroy the car. That's seriously what happened. They destroyed the car in this episode. That's pretty fucking weird, but alright then. And so the road trip is off, which, I don't know how I feel about this episode, man. It's just, I feel like it was just setting up for the road trip and how much of a disaster it was going to be, but then they just kind of cheaped out and just kind of did the entirety of the setup for the entire episode. I don't know. I get that with an episode like this, that probably wasn't going to be the case anyway, but still. Let's now move on to A Tale of Two Tables. This is the episode where Lincoln's sisters become cannibals and decapitate him. Obviously, this is a joke, but I mean, like, with this title card, would you be surprised? Possibly, but like, I don't know. First moment of the episode is having Lincoln getting slapped around by wieners. I can't even say anything now, can I? This is already the most annoying Loud House episode I think I've already seen, considering the fact that we have, obviously the twins here are being nuisances to Lincoln sitting at the kid table, but I mean, Lucy and and Lisa are here too. Alright then. I do understand that they are younger, but like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like they fit there. Lincoln decides to become a part of the grown-up table, and Clyde's gonna help him because Clyde needs to be in these episodes now. I mean, it was nice having him gone, honestly. It was nice having Clyde gone. I think he's starting to become my least favorite character. I hope this doesn't say anything about me, is all I'm gonna say. Honestly, I think my favorite background joke so far on the series is Lincoln being all like, ooh, the House of Representatives are going to be debating the new highways bill, when it's actually, should bologna be considered meat? And then next up are hashtags. I don't know. Does anyone else get kind of the feel like I'm not doing a good job at reviewing The Loud House? Because honestly, I haven't had much to say about either of these two episodes, and especially not the last couple of them. It's my review skills need reworking or something, because, like, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say. It's just Lincoln trying to act like a grown-up. Like, okay, yeah, cool. Nothing particularly funny is happening through it. Nothing is particularly interesting while doing this. It's just, there's nothing to say, really. That's the annoying part. Anyways, it's now time for phase 2, where they are now doing advanced table manners, and Lincoln is failing at every opportunity because it's funny. Also, Clyde has a cutout of Glori. Don't question it. Just don't. Again, actually kind of another funny joke where Clyde is all like, wrong, never talk about politics. Stop it. Just don't. Please, do not. Please, your life will be ruined forever if you talk about politics. Please, just don't actually. Anyways, Lincoln did it. He made it to the adult table. Wow, and now they're having liver instead of chicken nuggets. Wow, it's one of those plots. You know, the plots that are all like, I want to get something. And then the main character easily obtains it. And then he spends the rest of the episode being all like, wow, this actually sucks. Can I please go back to the other place? I don't know. I don't know. Just, I get it. That's like a common trope and all that kind of stuff. But, like, I don't really know what there's more to say. The final straw is no dessert at the adult table. Like, I mean, grown-up desserts exist, but, like, and you tell me desserts are inherently childish? I don't know, weird. Also, Clyde says that he's got to do his parents' taxes. What's with this series and having kids do taxes? That's a cruel, unusual form of torture. Or maybe it's actually a good thing that the kids are also doing the taxes with the parents. I don't know. Also, there's something about this episode I just realized. Doesn't the Loud House in every other episode sit at the same table, like every single member of the family? I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't really feel too interested in talking about this at great length. Look, I understand that also Lincoln had like a whole dream sequence about like him being permanently stuck to the table and all that kind of stuff, but like, literally just ask your parents if they could just go back. I think they wouldn't care at all, as opposed to, you know, damaging your relationship with your sisters and your parents and all that kind of stuff. You know, just instead of doing that, maybe that you could just, you know, ask to go back. I don't think anyone would really care. But, like, then again, at the entire beginning of the episode, you were already saying how bad it was, so, like, what is even going on here? But I guess it doesn't matter, considering the fact that the sisters already at the grown-up table went to the kid table, and then the parents are finally have their own table to themselves, while everyone else is throwing food at each other at the kid table. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like this episode just went in a circle. Like, we started at the kid table, then we circled back around to being at the kid table, meaning that this episode is completely stupid, pointless. And then again, I don't think that this kid table thing ever comes back up in the series. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. This episode was dumb. Honestly, in short, just kind of skip these episodes. They're not really too interesting. They're not really too exciting. They're not really too much of anything, really. Not too much substance as well, I guess. And you know what? Honestly, I kind of wish I was watching stupid shit as opposed to just kind of mediocre stuff. I'm going to be completely honest here. If Fairly Odder was still on this service, I would probably watch that instead for a subscriber special, because at least that would probably be bad enough for me to review. Meanwhile, this is just kind of, again, mediocre. I played so much Octopath Traveler 2 last night. I said I wouldn't play until 5 a.m., but I did, and then I paid the price by going to work at 7:30 in the morning. Why the fuck did I do that? Why did I fuck up my sleep schedule for this? Ah! Work, bitch! Hey guys, let's now talk about the Loud House now, because that's what this video series is all about, and not talking about Octopath Traveler 2. In all seriousness, it's a really fun game, but like, you know, I kind of don't have time for it right now. I'm going off like 1 hour of sleep here, but today we're going to be talking about episode 5 and 6. Finally! It only took till the 6th episode to talk about the 6th actual episode, and today's episodes are basically going to be focused around Glori, who is not the 6th person to be born in the Loud House. Even in this video series, I can't have fun with a 666 reference. Jeez. It really is amazing that it took this long to actually get to this point to review episode 5, but you know, whatever. We've at least at this point roundaboutly talked about the first 10 episodes. Anyways, let's finally drive Miss Hazy. Well, but of course, before that can happen, we need Lincoln to do Lori's laundry. Oh, wow, how amazing. Lincoln is doing Lori's laundry, mainly just because, you know, she can actually drive outside of their parents. Versus Lenny, who, despite being around the same age, can't drive. Because, according to Andrew Young's husband himself, she is Canada's worst driver. Actually, considering some of the contestants on that show, I think she actually is a better one. Fuck you, Crystal. Anyways, Lincoln's gonna teach Lenny how to drive now, even though that really his only experience with driving is playing Crazy Taxi or some other random crap. I don't honestly remember the name. I don't give a shit. That's like the first 2 minutes of the episode. It's just like, again, what is with the pacing of the Loud House exactly? With like everything about this show is all like, my house is very chaotic and all that kind of stuff, but it feels like nothing happens in these fucking episodes. Blah, blah, blah. Lori gets put into her driving outfit, and for some reason she's in the video game now. Please do not question it. She's gonna play Mario Kart Wii now with tilt controls. All Lincoln has to do is just convince that the dumb blonde is gonna go to the mall. That's how she's gonna get her license. Just goddamn. Alright, congratulations, Lenny. You beat level 1 in this video game. Time to do your driver's test. Like, seriously, if that's the prerequisite to passing your driver's test, or at least preparing for your driver's test, then what the hell is driving school at Legoland? Oh, what an absolute shocker. It doesn't actually do it. I could not have seen this coming, considering the fact we have the rest of the episode to go. Also, Lori just exposed her feet. We get a close-up shot of it. Can this please? I'm literally begging here. I understand that I dug myself this hole, okay? I talked about the Loud House fandom. I wanted to give the actual show a shot. This is the kind of episode that apparently Paramount Plus was just kind of pushing in the back because they knew I was going to get angry at this, because it's just like, I really don't know anymore, okay, about doing this and just all that kind of stuff. My faith is really waning in the Loud House, because realistically, this show is just okay. I understand I keep saying that in every single goddamn review of every single episode, that I'm not impressed with anything in the Loud House. How in the world it is actually able to get 8 freaking seasons, a spin-off live-action series, and like 5 movies based off of it, I will never understand. Meanwhile, Rugrats was a huge powerhouse in the 90s and like got like 3 movies. Just like, come on. Anyways, what a shocker. Lincoln realizes that the video game approach wasn't gonna work. Wow, why am I not shocked? However, I will give Lenny that her craftsmanship when it comes to wood is actually pretty good. It's like the one good thing that she's canonically good at, so that's good. Personally, I think if they actually made an episode about Lenny's craftsmanship, it would somehow be about 10 minutes of Lincoln trying to manipulate his way into doing something, and then one, like, maybe not even 1 minute of Lenny actually working on, like, a piece of wood. Amazing. Back on track, I guess. The sisters go come in and help and all that, and then Lincoln finds out the problem. Lenny has such horrible mental deficiencies that legitimately they need to start talking in Lenny. So, yeah, that's an interesting way of solving this problem, but okay. What a shocker, because we needed more conflict in this plot, where Glori decides to sabotage Lenny. However, I will give it this, at least in the very next scene, they then realize that, you know, trying to sabotage someone doing driving is probably not a good idea, and will probably lead to 1,000 bloody Lincoln pictures. Yep, I'm bringing back the fandom joke, because this fandom is a joke. Or at least the super cringe parts of it. Obviously, if you like the Loud House, despite what I have to say and all that kind of stuff, and you don't actually participate in this kind of weird fetishism, then you're fine in my book. Trust me, you're good. We all have those cringe-ass fan bases. But yeah, Lori decides to help Lenny with her next driver's test, and she ends up in the carpool lane. Sorry, the regular pool lane, sorry. That's what I meant to say. In a way, I guess I kind of have to say I'm sorry for kind of freaking out there. Again, I've been kind of going off of 1 hour of sleep. That I think that just kind of brought the anger out inside me, let's be real here. Anyways, to make up for it, hopefully now my next episode of No Gold, No Glory is going to actually be good. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's Trigger Happy's catchphrase. Here's the actual title card. I'm so fucking funny! Anyways, Glori is now a dictator. That's the plot of the episode. Not only that, the Loud Sisters and Lincoln decide to overthrow her. This then leads to My Little Pony JFK getting his brains blown out. Okay, that last part was a joke, but like seriously, that's what's happening in this episode. After Lincoln overthrows Glori, basically all chaos breaks loose because I don't know, the Loud Sisters in this episode had become incredibly flanderized to the point of just causing chaos for the hell of it. So just like whatever. This is probably going to be one of my most negative videos about the Loud House, but like seriously, it does feel like the sisters in every single episode just feel completely different from how they acted in the previous one. And I understand having a nice, feel-good, happy ending, and I understand that show, again, is episodic and all that, but like, fuck man, why would I care about some of this stuff that the sisters go through if I know they're just going to be reset by the end? Lincoln frees Glori, and he doesn't know how to deal with his own sisters, even though that they know how to deal with them. It's just, again, it just feels like the Loud Sisters are just plot contrivance. Oh man, how do I get past my sister that's all girly and all that? You just blow glitter in her face. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Probably because if you try that in the next episode, it just won't work at all. They clean the house, the end. That's the end of the episode. Nothing more, the end. Goodbye. In short, again, I'm sorry if I came off as too angry in this video or anything like that. Obviously, a big problem with this kind of review series is definitely trying not to step on people's toes, because it's like you could talk about an absolute fan favorite episode, but just I just don't feel like I'm reaching any kind of peak with the Loud House. It's been kind of the same semi-mediocre series that it's always been. It's just like, what do you want me to say at this point? I don't. There's almost nothing to say, actually, about the Loud House. And we're only 12 episodes in of 52 of just the first season. There are 8 seasons of the show, and the first half of it is supposedly good. So, I don't know. I don't know at this point. If I should just continue, I don't know. I will try. I do. One thing that I don't want to be is a quitter, and I'm going to try and suck it up, just tackle the rest of the videos, and I promise, next episode, I promise not to complain about the Loud House. I promise not to complain as much as I typically do when talking about a Loud House episode. I'll just go ahead and tell you exactly what I thought about it, point blank, yeah. Well, if it isn't me finally making another Loud House video after I forgot to do so the previous 2 days. This is for a couple different reasons. Firstly, let's talk about those community posts. Remember how I said last episode that I wasn't a quitter and all that? Well, I did decide to make a post afterwards asking if you were actually having fun with the Loud House review series. And, well, people said yes, they were having a lot of fun with it, but they could probably tell that I wasn't really enjoying this process anymore, and so they voted mostly in a majority to say, hey, you can just stop if you want to, which I'd say is pretty nice. Most of that poll is mostly you can stop if you want to, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank you. I do feel like a lot of what I've done for this series has been really cut down from my original vision, honestly. I bought that entire green screen because I was going to film all the videos on a green screen, but after I just filmed the intro for the first episode, it just wasn't really going well at all, let's just put it that way. I just didn't like how it turned out all too much. That being said, I'm not against doing it again, using the green screen again to do my things and stuff videos. It's just that I couldn't possibly do it in a daily format kind of thing, as like I could for voiceover and speeding up Bloons Tower Defense 6 gameplay. Realistically, these videos take me like 2 hours to do. Most of it is going to be doing the reviewing part, and the editing, well, sadly kind of went by the wayside, and again, I kind of didn't want that to be the case, but I had to push it out daily, so yeah. What didn't help is that I had really strict shifts that I had to do on Thursday and Friday because I wasn't home on Thursday until 9 o'clock, and I just didn't have an episode planned for... I didn't even have a death percent planned for Friday, so yeah, that's why the Geometry Dash one exists. And also that one was supposed to be a little bit longer, you know, a little bit something at the end, but like, I mean, fucking copyright, so that was really cool. Anyways, in my second community post, I basically detail, I think, what would be the problems with me doing a series like this. Definitely going in blind to a series you know literally nothing about and dedicating an entire 26 days of your life to reviewing episodes from that series. I think if I actually like the thing that I'm talking about, maybe it would have been a nicer process to do. It's like, oh yes, I get to watch this show, as opposed to, oh great, now I gotta make another episode. Isn't that just fun? Now, hopefully, I've said enough times that The Loud House itself is not a bad show. I made this entire series partly in contrast to how I was talking about in the Cringe Fests. I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you like The Loud House or anything, and really, I was kind of expecting me to somewhat enjoy this series, but after watching like 12 episodes of the series so far, I noticed that the franchise is just kind of meh. This entire first season, I understand it isn't the best version of The Loud House, but it is the very start, so it would be one of the stronger foots. Apparently, to some fans, Season 4 onwards are actually the bad parts of the show. Meanwhile, everything at this point is supposed to be alright, so partly that's why I wanted to talk about Season 1 as opposed to talking something about the movies, which, again, I've probably said multiple times, would have been probably a lot more fun to do. Especially because No Time to Spy was basically the one thing that kicked off my channel to begin with. Like, seriously, this is how many subscribers we had in the intro for the first episode? This is how many I have now. Wow. Just, wow, man. Thank you. The fact that I was able to jump up this high, and I'm still increasing as the days progress, is absolutely amazing to me because just from 2 videos, really, the Loud House Cringe Fests, it's amazing, honestly. And the fact that the second video was actually surpassed the first as well is also kind of interesting, now ain't it? Sadly, I don't think I'm really seeing any returns from that video, but whatever. Now, you may or may not have noticed that I haven't really talked about any episodes yet. So, here's the deal. I decided to completely black out what episodes we're going to be talking about today, because as this is going to be basically the final episode for me talking about the Loud House, I have to talk about some interesting episodes, let's put it that way. More explicitly, I'll be talking about The Greenhouse and One of the Boys, some of the most infamous episodes in the first season of The Loud House, because I feel like that's a pretty decent way to wrap things up, now ain't it? Now, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do for a second episode. I knew I wanted to talk about One of the Boys because it's one of the most infamous episodes in the show. But I really couldn't find, like, another contender for, like, the worst episode in the season, so, I don't know, Greenhouse. Let's talk about that as well. Now then, before Paramount Plus charges me again, let's take a look at these episodes. The first one we'll talk about is The Greenhouse. In this episode, Lincoln has a project to try and reduce his sister's energy usage, even though he lives in a house with 10 sisters, so automatically this episode is really questionable. It's especially cool when everyone at school basically bullies him for having 10 sisters and having a really high energy bill. Then again, I'm not really surprised. Lenny's into NFTs after all. That's not an actual part of the episode, but it would be fucking hilarious, though. In an episode about greenhouse energies and Looney, she's just fucking minting NFTs. That'd be hilarious. Don't worry, Lincoln, I'm just generating some new style pictures. I just got it from the magic thing of Dolly 3. While Lincoln is showcasing how much energy his family uses, one of the twin sisters, the princess one, I still don't care to learn these characters' names. They're all L names, which I admire the tenacity to name every kid after L's, but like, it's harder for me to differentiate them, and there's 11 characters. You can't ask me to remember all these guys' names, okay? Anyways, as I was saying, she's running around in a car that produces fossil fuel waste, even though that it's supposed to be an electric car, because that's what those small cars are supposed to be about, but like, whatever, I guess. It's unimportant for the episode, I guess. I don't know, it's just kind of dumb. Anyways, the prospects of saving the polar bears are basically all the sisters need in order to try and change their lives for the better. Kinda, sometimes they have to be convinced. Again, I kinda don't care about learning their names, but one of the twins, this time the tomboy one, is like babysitting a bunch of reptiles and has a furnace going on. It's just like, I mean, they're cold-blooded, Lincoln. You're kinda, she's doing this for a reason, you know? Lisa is now using Lily's diapers to fuel her machines. This is great. Yeah, this is an amazing episode so far. I honestly have no clue exactly what Lucy's doing in this episode. She's just painting her room black or something, and Lincoln's all like, "Fuck you, wear some sunglasses." I don't get it. Okay, I know this is another example of me complaining about cartoony physics, but Lynn Jr. literally brought a refrigerator out, turned it on, put the freezer out towards like this giant pool of water. Immediately it freezes, and then Lincoln closes the door, it immediately breaks, and then he gives her a surfboard where she rides waves. What are you talking about? That's not how any of this shit works. What the fuck? So they're finally in the green, but uh-oh, plot contrivance. Lincoln has to go to a video game tournament and use his computer specifically in order to actually participate in the tournament, so he's gonna go ahead and hide it in his pants, making it look like he ate the computer, because that was my first thought. Lucy has a funny line here saying that, yes, she's starting to become a sibling hater. I'm with her on this entire thing, honestly. But then again, I guess that's just the main premise of the show now, ain't it? This whole in the red kind of contrivance is honestly getting ridiculous. Especially because I understand that this is kind of the main problem with the episode, but like everyone's getting graded on equally, which Lincoln has 10 sisters, and Clyde is a lone child, and they're both being compared similarly. It's like, that's not a good thing, but does that really equate to this episode really being the worst? Realistically, I'm gonna be completely honest here. I can't differentiate this from the last episodes that I've covered, because the last episodes that I've covered, it just all feels the same, weirdly enough. I hope One of the Boys is definitely different, because it's the most infamous episode of the series, but as it's standing right now with the greenhouse, it just feels the same. It feels like the same as the other videos that I talked about, which are supposed to be some of the better episodes in the series. It's just like, I don't even, man. Anyways, we also learned in this episode that Lenny actually doesn't need food because Lincoln brought down the refrigerator and she was just fine. I understand that she's a stupid one and all that, but like, I like to imagine that she doesn't actually need food or water. Okay, so you know that one section in Super Paper Mario where you have to grind for rubies? Yeah, that's what Lincoln does. They end up winning the contest! Wow, how cool! I love how everyone in this ending section has their wrist communicator thingy that has like showcasing how much energy their house wasted. All of them are red, so that's just amazing. They went right back to doing whatever the fuck what they were doing after that. Amazing. Lincoln then showers outside with a moist towelette. Let's now talk about One of the Boys. I sure hope it's about as bad as people say it is, because after the last episode, I don't know. I understand that episode wasn't like universally hated like this one is, but let's see how well this goes. Ironically, both of these episodes have Clyde in them, and in this episode specifically, he fantasizes about Lori running on the beach in her swimsuit. Amazing. Also, she has no shoes on. Amazing. Man, I really love Nickelodeon. I really love them so much, man. I just can't wait to not be done with this franchise. I can't really wait. Oh man, I always want to talk about the Loud House for all and forever, and just like, let's just get this shit over with. In this episode, Lincoln gets pissy that he can't stick his hands inside of the communion containers and just, burp in front of his sister's face. Damn, man. Aw, man, that's such a bad thing for Lincoln. Aw, how sad for him. Not only that, sometimes his sisters are supportive of him and Ronnie Ann, which, actually, considering the fact this is the second time I mentioned Ronnie Ann, is kind of interesting. Because, again, canonical girlfriend, but, like, whatever, I guess. Also, I don't know if this is my, quote, feminine side coming out, but I always liked kind of going to the mall, especially considering the fact that it's becoming really outdated. I mean, come on. Some of the stores like Spencer's and like those weird comic book stores and all that kind of stuff. Heck, sometimes a GameStop is in there. Like, I don't know. I like going inside malls. Like, thinking you're being a little bitch is all I'm saying. Anyways, Lisa, the smart one, decides to open a fucking portal to an alternate dimension, and people complain that magic and dragons exist in the Loud House movie when Lisa's just able to do this bullshit throughout the entire time, doing literal genius level, like, actual trans-timelineal fucking travel. But, but dragons exist. I don't fucking know, man. I understand the Loud House movie isn't particularly good, but, like, people complaining about it, it's particularly the magic element, is just like, what? The series already does that, doesn't it? And I understand that most of this has also been Lynn and trying to basically make an invention or some crap like that. But like, even so, that's still like not the case. That like, it's still fantastical elements inside of this series that's, to some people, is really grounded. So like, I don't know. This is just my final bit of the Loud House, so I think I need to talk about everything, don't I? Lincoln then finally visits the alternate dimension and all that crap, but honestly, some of these characters' voices are just like too similar, but I don't know. Really interesting though, naming your first son Loki though. Anyways, Lincoln got exactly what he wanted, and he's having fun. Man, I wonder if this is going to turn into one of those episodes where, like, things are going to go great. He wishes for something, things go great for, like, 3 seconds, and then the rest of the episode's how horrible it is, and then he goes back and be like, I guess the lesson of this episode is that I actually had it really cool. It's just like, my God. It's just like, no, just no. One way that people say they don't really enjoy this episode is because, well, all the Loud brothers act the exact same versus the Loud sisters, and it's just like, I don't know, and try and like differentiate between the Loud brothers and the Loud sisters, you kind of have to do some more exaggeration, but like, I don't know. I don't know if that really holds any water particularly, especially the like sex system part. It's just like, I don't know. I think more so the episode's conflict is kind of making the characterization of these characters worse because of the fact that, well, we got to showcase really fast about how good Lincoln has it typically in the Loud House, having sisters instead of brothers and all that stuff. But yeah, some of the jokes inside of the bedroom is just kind of stupid because it's just all like, oh, Lincoln now has to sleep with Lynn and Lucy, even though that's not their characters' names, but I don't care. The jokes they tell there is just all like, okay, you could have just said that in the regular Loud House, but okay, I guess, I don't know. The one character that's supposed to be the male version of the rocker girl, I still don't know her name, gives Lincoln a swirly after he realizes the bathroom is disgusting. He goes, get it, boys are disgusting. Or I guess forget what I said about the sexism remark now, did I? Also, I understand that Lincoln's like 11 or something, but like, I mean, come on, the kissing boo-boo thing, like, come on, that's ridiculous. So, Ronnie Ann exists in this universe now? What? This is an alternate dimension. Wouldn't Lincoln be gay in this universe then? Again, especially with this part right here where Lincoln basically is getting piled on because he's going to go have a date with Ronnie Ann. Again, I feel like this is more so the episode characterizing these characters as bad people because Lincoln wished for something, more so than any kind of sexism remarks. I just don't understand where people are coming from with this, honestly. Also, at this point in the episode, wouldn't Lincoln already be done with the 24 hours, considering the fact he left at, like, fucking 3 in the morning? But you know what? I guess nothing really mattered, considering the fact that it was all just a dream. My favorite kind of episode conclusion. It's all just a dream. Nothing in the episode really mattered. I mean, I guess then again, it wasn't really supposed to be that much of a permanent change in the Loud House. It's supposed to be a what-if episode. So, yeah, I guess Lucy not making some bullshit technological miracle by being able to travel through fucking timelines, you know, typical stuff. But, I mean, the fact that I couldn't decipher it was a dream sequence probably should have been tipped off, okay? Granted, that is supposed to be the episode twist, but, like, you understand where I'm getting at, right? It's just, I don't know. In short, I think it's actually kind of concerning. I think it's actually concerning that I can't really tell the good episodes from the bad episodes of this series. But then again, most of the complaints that were made towards the bad episodes are very minor, much like the ones that I make in this entire series. They're not really super duper official, honestly. I'm going to be completely honest here. It's just like, oh, one of the boys is sexist, and the Sigurd Link is getting graded the same as the other guys. It's like, okay. That's a plot hole with the episode. Not really anything to really say about that. That's it. That's literally the entire thing. But apparently people consider these episodes bad for some reason. Like, again, I just can't decipher anything between these episodes now. It's all just one big lump of Loud House. And so that was basically my reviews of the Loud House. And, well, I don't typically be serious in these conclusion segments, but in conclusion, The Loud House is a very mediocre show. That's all I gotta say about it. Even when it comes to its worst episodes, I can't decipher anything because it's just, I don't know, it's just some kind of boredom washes over me. And it's just like, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. It doesn't feel like anything's really substantial per se. And of course, something very important I need to mention here is that I wasn't expecting Kingdom Hearts level storytelling with any of these episodes. Heck, I wasn't even expecting any kind of serialization, let's be real here. But as cartoon episodes, it's definitely a really bad idea using the most generic fucking vanilla plots imaginable. And sadly, I think that's the main problem I have with the series. And I understand, again, this is the first season and all that. It obviously gets better. It gets also a whole lot worse. That is my problem. I wanted to tackle the Loud House fairly. I feel like I did a decent enough job doing so. So, yeah, really. The sad part is that, again, one of the boys, despite being a really bad episode, is really nothing. Meanwhile, apparently, the first episode is widely regarded as a pretty damn good episode. So it's just like, again, in conclusion, I don't know about this series. I don't see myself really talking about the Loud House anymore past this episode, and I don't really see myself actually talking about the Loud House much going forward. Maybe one more cringe fest, but that's about it. And sorry to sound pretentious here, but I feel like the intrigue into why those episodes worked per se is because I knew nothing about the Loud House. But now that I actually do know stuff about the Loud House, I'm unsure if I can really give a good cringe fest from this point forward. Especially considering the fact that a lot of the images were just the same from the last one, with really the only exception being the video at the very end. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm done here. So thank you all for watching the 700 subscriber special to the very end, and I hope to see you all next time when I have more things and stuff to talk about. Goodbye.